1. Bing! What's up? What's up? This your boy K Rich, and I don't know if we're live yet. We're gonna wait here.
Hold on, something's going on here. Can you try going live? It says it looks like this broadcast was deleted on Facebook.
No, we're live. We're live.
It says live?
We're live.
Okay. All right, go for it.
All right, guys. Hey, appreciate you guys joining the We Give 110 Talks today. We're here with our expert panelist, Misa from Perfectly Kept Books, and we're so excited for her to join us again and appreciate what she's going to be talking about. Today's topic is keep your personal and business finances separate.
Lately I've been feeling like the greatest. I'm the one they bet against to make it. They must not know I love trips to Vegas. The underdog became the underrated. In my city I'm paraded. Confetti dropping when I'm home. I'm floating down Tudor, floating on strong. Had so many rights they couldn't tell us we was wrong. Lamar Middle School we was on. I got this lion heart in my chest. I'm one of the best. They ask about him, they gon' bring up success. See, I've been fighting this stress. You ain't right, you get left. I'm good with my left, so I don't argue with refs. Cause just like EA, I'm in the game.
Awesome. You're back. We're back here at We Give 110. I've got Misa jumping in here now. We're excited about this topic. I'm excited about this topic because, personally, I've experienced this. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I know we're going to talk probably about that today and provide some just personal experiences. But go ahead and take it away, Misa. It's awesome to have you join us again.
Yes, thank you for having me again. This is probably one of the biggest things that I hear people in the accounting world. This is one of the biggest things that they always harp on because so many business owners don't do this. And it's so important because one, at the end of the day, I handle bookkeeping. So as a bookkeeper, it makes the job that much easier. So especially if you're doing your own bookkeeping currently, how difficult is it to try to, wade through all of your personal transactions to kind of pick out your business ones and say, oh, is this personal? Is this business? And then you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what am I making from my business? You don't know because it's all mixed together and it's just a mess. And so your bookkeeping is usually harder, or you just don't deal with it until the end of the year for tax time. And then you're being charged an arm and a leg because someone now has to go help you sift through all that stuff just so you can file your taxes. When if you had it separate in the beginning, you have everything clean in order. Your personal's over here, your business is over here, and you're good. So that's, you can just say this probably every day. It's just keep it separate. Keep it separate every day. Just telling people to keep it separate.
It's like keep it simple, stupid. Keep it separate, stupid.
That's a good one. I like it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I think.
No, go ahead.
I think one of the biggest things is when people start their business. That's usually when it gets the worst because you're investing money and there's always something that comes up. So one of the suggestions I did was like I already carried a notebook around with me until I had like a corporate credit card or a company credit card that you have for that. Now, that's something that a lot of people should do right off the bat is go to a bank and set up your business account. I think setting up your business account is the second thing you do after registering your business.
Yeah, it should be.
Right? Like, you've got to register your business just to get the name and then go set up the bank account. Don't even stop. Go directly there.
Exactly.
And then register like how much money you actually use to like actually purchase the business.
Exactly.
get that all separated as fast as possibly can. Because if you don't, it's just going to be blah, 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 blah. And if you have a business partner, get 2 credit cards, put limits on them. There's so many things that you need to do. This way, somebody doesn't use the credit card for their own personal reasons, which was a problem that one of my partners had. And also when you're talking about keeping that business as separate is like, just do it right off the right off the bat. Like, I can't even stress that any more than this. You will mess yourself up very fast if you don't.
And the thing about it is too, is if you register your business as an actual separate legal entity, like, you have to separate your business finances, because that defeats the purpose. Like, you're trying to have limited liability protection by creating this entity, but then when you start mixing stuff together, you're opening up the floodgates. So if anything, like, if something were to happen and IRS or someone comes looking for some money from you and you're mixing everything together, your personal stuff is now it's now in jeopardy, because you're mixing all. Yeah.
And I can tell you a personal experience. So, we finance our mobile apps with a lot of personal credit cards, and that came back to haunt me in a big, big way, because, at the end of the day, I had to shut down my business. And in doing so, had I have charged those to business cards, had I have leveraged that business credit, then I could have personally recovered a lot quicker than I've had to fight, bankruptcy and lawyer fees and fighting credit card companies that are sending you to collections. And so that's just my own personal experience. Like, it's not something to play with. It's something that can sink you and your family. It can create unwanted stress and anxiety that does not go away. It does not get better.
Right.
And so that's just my own personal feedback. Like, do it now, and don't let your business partner or somebody else say it's okay, because it's not.
No, and I think that's where a lot of people, they're like, well, in the beginning, especially if you're not making a bunch of money in the beginning, they're like, oh, well, I'm not making money, or it's not, I don't have a lot of transactions, it's just a little bit. But I'm like, you don't want to get into the habit of being like, oh, it's fine, I can just, run it through my personal and it'll be fine, because you're going to get used to it. And then when you really start making money, it's going to be harder for you to kind of actually separate it then. And so if you just start at the beginning, separate them and keep them separate, it just makes life easier all around for everybody.
So much so. Like I said, a notebook is a great way to just carry it around. I don't have my notebook with me right now, but if you have receipts, you just tape them in there and make a note, like, right on the back. And I think we've talked about that before in a previous episode, is like, write exactly what that receipt was for, because you're going to know, like, oops, what's this one? I don't remember.
Exactly.
Because you're going to be buying so many things when you start your business, or when you're running around doing stuff for your business. Maybe you don't have your business card on you. But, by having your pen, your notepad, you can just kind of go, okay, I purchased this on this date for this amount for the business. And then when you get back, you can reconcile that and, fix that up, pay yourself out of the business to cover that cost, and then transfer that receipt over, kind of thing.
See, I use FreshBooks, and the cool part about FreshBooks, and I'm sure other cloud-based platforms do this as well, Yashika, you could probably give us insight, but I'm a paper guy as well, so I'd carry that around and put a little bullet point, like, this is a receipt for this amount. But then I would take that mobile app and I would take a picture and go ahead and capture that receipt right then and let the system categorize it. And then when I would reconcile with all of them at the end, I would have my book and I would go through what was online and offline and make sure it was matching up.
Yep.
So what are your recommendations on that?
No, I'm all for, because I'm all for technology. Use what you have. And I'm like, we all have a phone. I'm like, even if you don't have a software in the beginning, an accounting software, you have a camera and you have a phone, and you can take a picture of the receipt. You can create a little Google folder or some type of folder, and you can throw all your receipts in there. And then, of course, most of us are doing things online. So when you get that receipt in your inbox, just throw that receipt into a receipts folder, and just to help you organize it and keep things clean and clear for you, so that you know this is where I can find all of my receipts if I ever need to refer to them, versus where did I put it? Or I think I deleted it, or I never took a picture, or I threw it away. Just immediately capture it some kind of way and just file it away.
No, that's awesome. So let's go ahead and transition to your next point, and that's going to be tips to keep your personal and business finances separate. And so what do you got for us? What tips and tricks do you have?
Well, we already touched on one of them is opening the separate bank account. So like as soon as you register your business, you make sure you get your EIN, which is free online on the IRS website, because you will need it, and go ahead and open that business bank account. And I even recommend it for if you're operating as a sole proprietor. So you haven't officially registered like a separate business. You're just operating, under your name, or you have a DBA, but you still want to separate your business expenses from your personal. And also I recommend doing that just because when you get that EIN number, it's going to help protect your actual personal social security number, because when you have to hand out W-9 forms to people, you don't want your social just kind of out there living in the world with it. It's bad enough that we live in an age where so much data is already out there, but you don't want to just openly just give people your social. So get that EIN, open your business account, and then start actually putting the money that you're going to spend for the business, transfer it over to that account before you spend it. That way, okay, even if you don't know exactly what you're going to spend, say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and put $500 in the account to get me started, and then use that account directly for your business expenses. That way you don't have to worry about, I need to run and make this quick purchase, but I don't have enough in my account. So just go ahead and transfer funds. You're going to be spending the money anyway. Just put the money in the account to get you started until you can start the business can start generating its own funds.
And I think one of the big things that when you start talking about funds is, it's a little bit off topic, but it's the bottom line, right? And a lot of people don't. They go, oh, well, that's just a saying where that's just the lowest you go, and that's exactly it. You need to establish your bottom line, be it for a quarter or for a month or for a week, whatever that is, and you take the amount of money that you're looking at, and you place that in as your bottom line. And then as you work your business, if you get profit, that's when you can then, when it goes above that bottom line, then you can start deciding where you want to put that cash, right? Now, do you pay yourself? Do you pay, such and such a thing? Is this for improving your business? But if it goes below that bottom line because you're spending money on it, that means you're not going to take a paycheck. You're not going to be putting other money into other things. Your goal is to get yourself back to that bottom line, right? So it's a game of plus and minus, but it's so important because you should have at least I suggest minimum, because I'm a kind of a strap it together shoelace kind of business startup kind of guy, like do it with as least money as you possibly can, but what you want to do is make sure that you have at least 6 months of operating value, right, in that bottom line, because what could happen, right? Like COVID, boom, like
yes,
maybe you get sick, maybe you have a car accident, you still have all that liability. The IRS doesn't care, the banks don't care, right? So having that minimum, that bottom line for you is so important. And this way it doesn't really affect what's going on. Now for like Carrie and I, like we've set up the business. He has an LLC that we're using there. But we're not spending more money than we expect. Like, we're not jumping out there. We could literally drop thousands and thousands of dollars on advertising, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not in our budget right now. Exactly. Now, his wife and my wife would probably kill us.
Oh.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like, why? No.
Yeah, and I think too is the spending of the money, is that, because I know I see a lot of like business owners, they usually kind of diminish the importance of good bookkeeping and what it does for your business and why you need it. And they'll be like, oh no, I don't need to pay for that, or that's, it's too much. I don't want to pay too much to have somebody keep my books. But then these are the same people who will pay for like 5-figure coaching programs or spend all these money on ads. But then it's like, do you even have the funds available to pay for that stuff? Because I'm like, if you looked at your numbers, you probably know I can't afford that. Maybe I need to save first before I go and do that program or try to spend on ads. And that's where the bookkeeping piece is so important. It's because it tells you literally what you can and can't do. Because if you don't have the funds, you can't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, especially if you have a partner, setting limits. This is why I said set a limits on the credit cards, because this way you can ensure that one person, if they're not being responsible or just by accident uses the card in the wrong place, out of habit, then they don't destroy your bottom line.
Yep.
Like they don't just kind of like, hey, we got a $3,000 bottom line. This is how much money is supposed to be in our bank account here to cover costs. And then, the person goes out and buys like a new photocopier or something like that. It's like, so having minimums on the card. And then if you have a business expense that requires something larger, then, going getting a cashier's check cut is a good way to do that. Or, having an agreed time to discuss those costs.
Yes.
So that you know what's going on. And then also check with your bookkeeper. Mm-hmm. Because they're going to give you the reality check. Like, you can't afford that. You really can't. And they'll look at what you're suggesting. It might be your future profits on it. They're going to suggest, you come in there, you give them a good reason. They're gonna check you. They're gonna make sure that, you could do this if you get that profit. It's your choice. But financially, I would say no. Because a lot of people do that. It's amazing. And then the bookkeeper's like, why did you do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why did you just spend like $4,000 on this? Because I wanted it for the shop, but it's not going to give you any value.
Or they'll be like, oh, well, that's how much I had in my bank account, so I thought it was okay to spend it. And I'm like no.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, I think about keeping your personal business and your financials separate is understanding that the money is not yours if it's in the business account. Yep. If it's in the till and you have, I do suggest having a petty cash, like a box with some cash on hand, but you have to understand that is not money that you can draw on for your own personal things. Yep. And you have to be very, very careful. I mean, it was something that I ran into in our first business, was that, we were hungry. So we're like, we're both the owners. We're like, we'll just grab $20 from the till and grab a pizza next door, And then it was like, well, where's the profit for the day? And empty pizza box over there, That's like, oops. It wasn't payday yet, but we were hungry. So,
and then that's the thing too, is that one thing that a lot of business owners don't do is pay themselves. And that's what you should be doing. I'm like, if you need the money to live, or you need it to, take care of whatever, like, actually pay yourself. So even if you're starting out and it's not much, just be consistent with it. So if you're starting out, you're like, I'm not making much money, but I can at least pay myself $100, whatever it is starting out. And you're like, I'm going to consistently pay myself $100 a week or whatever your amount is. And you physically transfer it to your personal account. And then you can spend the money versus, oh, well, I'm just going to swipe my card. And I'm just like, no, that's no, the money needs to be in your personal account and not your business account so that you can keep it completely separate. And
I don't know if this is 100% facts because I've never been audited, but I can only assume that, like, if you have expenses and things that you're charging to your business account, that's going to be hard to qualify those expenses with an IRS agent. So it's like,
and that's the thing too, because it's gonna open up a door, because if they're auditing your business and then they start seeing personal transactions, they could probably be like, oh, well, maybe we need to take a closer look at your personal. And then you're just now you're really gonna freak out, because who knows what you're doing in your personal finances. But when you open that door, you that's just not a door you want to open, especially with the IRS.
Yeah. And I think that's a big one is if you're someone who travels and goes to these, like, 5-figure trainings, or 4-figure trainings to try to improve your business, or goes to some sort of, show or anything like that. It's so important to learn what is a business expense and what is not. And I think talking to a bookkeeper or a tax lawyer or someone like that, so that they can actually tell you which things are good for writing off and good for receipts for when you travel. Right? Like, there are so many little things that you can write off or can be a business expense, even if you're using your own personal vehicle for business purposes, that a lot of people forget. And that you can write off some gas if you're using it. You can write off mileage. You can write off some of the payments on your car. You can write off a part of your insurance. But you have to keep super detailed information about, like, when you're using it, how many kilometers did you start with, how many kilometers did you finish with. If you're on your trip and you decide to go to Burger King, that doesn't count if you're like, you stay at the hotel, hop in the car, go to Burger King, come back. Just because you're on a business trip doesn't mean that all of it is actually business related.
And there is so you can report, like, if you want to go above a certain threshold, I know this from filing business taxes, then you will have to get very detailed, but there is a threshold that you can stay under, that you can qualify for. But you still have to document it. So for example, the mileage, I had to document it on my calendar that that's where I was. That I was at this event, that I went to this place that was out of town. There had to be some way to document that I was there. And it wasn't just the calendar. It was like a physical thing from the event that I could take away and prove that I was actually there also. So anyways, it's personal experience.
Because at the end of the day, like, it's you have the burden of proof, which is you're going to be the one that's going to have to answer questions. If the IRS comes knocking and they say, hey, what are all these expenses and are they valid? And, are these valid write-offs for you to take based on what your business is and what you're doing? Because I know everybody wants, people want to just write off everything just because they're like, oh, yes, it's a business expense. Let's just write it off. But it's like, does it make sense for your business? And is it something that you can accurately and with support back up? Because if you can't back it up, you will be in trouble and you will probably have to pay some money back to the IRS. So an easy way to make sure everything stays clean is just keep everything separate, and then keep very, very meticulous records. Because I'm like, I always think to, like, even overdo it, just because if any, because I think of it this way: if the IRS came to me and said, "Hey, can you prove this, this, and this?" I want to be able to say, "Here you go," and there's nothing that they can even refute or question because it's just so detailed and it just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I totally agree with that. And so, if you haven't already, you need to get over to Perfectly Kept Books. You need to hit up Misa, and you need to get that checklist. All you have to do is just give her your email. She's going to follow up with you. She's going to check in with you. She's going to see how she can serve you. So, like I said, get over to Perfectly Kept Books. And this was an awesome topic, something that had a personal touch to it, something that I've experienced. And so I hope you guys had an awesome time here today, finding some personal experiences that you can take away, as well as some tips on how you can keep things separate, personal and business. So, Rob, do you want to close anything out? You got anything left for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to include this IRS link for a lot of our American watchers and stuff like that. It's basically learn about your taxes. This is right from the IRS website. So, I mean, link, learn, and taxes. It's like pretty simple, straightforward stuff. They have a lot of different programs in there, and it's all for free, of course. So if you have questions about your taxes in the United States, this is a great place to check out. You can self-educate as much as you possibly can, but it's never a bad idea to reach out to someone who is a bookkeeper. Now, there's different rules about who can provide tax advice. So, always reach out to a tax lawyer if you really have any real questions, as they are the most qualified to do that. And you might be surprised at how much money they can save you.
and that's the thing too. It's like when it comes to taxes, don't just depend on going to them at tax time. Like there's a whole year. So you can work with them throughout the year to make sure that you are doing the best you can to reduce your liability legally, of course. But, don't just wait till the end of the year and say, "Oh my goodness, what can I write off or what can I do to reduce my tax bill?" It's like, no, it's a whole year worth of planning that you can actually do.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things is also the takeaway from this is that those tax lawyers are going to be up to date on what the laws are, because the laws change every year. Every time there's a new government change or anything like that, which, United States just had, there's going to be changes to the IRS.
Yeah, because there was actually a pretty big change that was in the latest stimulus bill that went out. So, if you use a payment processor, Stripe, PayPal, whatever, usually they would be responsible for reporting your income to the IRS, with the 1099-K form. But there was a threshold, which was at 20K, like 20K and like 200 transactions. Well, they've reduced it to $600. So more people are going to start getting those forms. And so all those people that, if you've made less than, if you had less than $20,000, the IRS probably didn't know about it. But now they're going to start figuring out all these people who've been earning this money, probably quietly. Yeah, the IRS is going to know about it now. So make sure you're reporting all of your income.
So this is a great one for all you teenagers out there who are killing it on TikTok and all these different things. It's $600. You can't hide it now.
Yes. So if you haven't been reporting all your income, make sure you're reporting it, because once they start actually reporting the lower threshold to the IRS, it's going to get a lot of people. I know it is.
So that's new news to me. So I mean, I don't know if you knew about that, Carrie, but I'm surprised. So okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to spread the word on that one.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, the tax laws, they're so in depth, and that's why it's important you reach out to a tax advisor that's qualified. But it reminds me of like, the changes in grammar, where it's just like one space after the period and nobody even knows. Where's this memo from the IRS letting me know? It's just like, as a business owner, you have to seek out those questions.
Yep.
You have to ask those questions. And if you don't, maybe you can skirt by for so long, but at some point it's going to bite you. At some point, it's going to come back and haunt you, because it just takes one mistake, and then once that Pandora's box is open, you know, and somebody starts snooping into your finances and starts picking away at it, trust me.
Yep.
Because it's just hard enough to keep your personal finances when you're talking about keeping personal and business. That's why you have to keep it separate. So.
Yep.
Very, very true.
Well, awesome. I appreciate everything. Rob, go ahead and close us out. Misa, thank you very much for giving us this value. And Rob, go ahead and close us out.
Yeah, so once again, thank you very much, everyone, for coming and seeing. Misa, always, great advice and things for us to learn. So if you haven't watched it already, please hit us up on the replay. Put in #replay so we know that you're watching it on the replay. If you haven't got our success journal yet, if you haven't got our success journal yet, you can go do that. This is a great way to plan. Also, put in your financial stuff and say, hey, like, do your bookkeeping every week. It's got that journal-esque type in there, all nice and colorful. Well, sorry about the nice and colorful section. Go through there, and if you can get downloaded as a digital, it's totally free. And of course, you can also reach out to We Give 110 on Facebook and Instagram, and We Give 110 Rob Paisley on Instagram as well. And of course, Perfectly Kept Books with Misa. If you have any questions about that, I'm pretty sure if you just learned about Stripe and if you're one of our online entrepreneurs, that you probably want to reach out to her now so that we can give you the lowdown on that new tax law change. So thank you once again, Misa, and hope everybody has a great week. And Misa, you're going to be back next week. Do you know what topic you're going to be talking about next week?
Yes, we're going to actually talk a little bit about the actual financials. So what to look for in the financials, and kind of getting a basic understanding of what they are, and then what you're looking for when you actually pull them up.
Right. So we're going to get down into the nitty gritty of your books. Right. So that's something that everybody should learn, because if you've never done bookkeeping, if you never took the high school class, this is probably a really great way for you to learn a lot. So next week, we're going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to look into the financials. And that's about it. Carrie, anything else you want to say? He's muted.
We're going to go out with our closing out outro, and y'all have an awesome week, and keep giving that 110.
I'm with it. I'm with it if you with it. We gon' run it up. We gon' stay committed. Turn up on our grind till we thumbing through a million. They know we in the building. We ain't got no ceiling. Like Weezy Wee, I'm the fireman with the fire plan. I built my team up, ain't no retirement. My shooters, they on fire, man. 110's the